This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 3192. Happiness is an inside job. And Cultivating Contentment, both by Kerry Ogden of kerryogden.com. And I'm Justin Malik, the guy that reads to you every single day of the year, including weekends and holidays, to help you live a more meaningful and positive life. Now, I have two posts today, both from Kerry Ogden. So with that, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Happiness is an Inside Job by Kerry Ogden of kerryogden.com. Happiness. It's our constitutional right to pursue it, but what exactly is it? Most people associate it with mildly continuous feelings of joy, but it's closer to a state of contentment in which one is okay with life as it is. It's less a feeling and more a byproduct of how we live. Walking the path of contentment requires us to pay attention to the things that block our way. It's usually in the mind. The ego has something to say about everything. You want to watch out for the stuff that's hurtful or depleting. By taking a breath and invoking curiosity, even the tiniest bit, we can learn how to find calm in moments of discomfort. In this way, cultivating well-being is like a spiritual journey of acceptance. It takes compassion and strength to see ourselves clearly. The process of transformation begins when we let go of judgment. You arrive at the airport and realize you forgot your wallet. You have time to head home and back, so instead of panic, frustration kicks in. Sitting with the frustration, the first thing you notice are blaming thoughts. You remain focused on your breath to avoid getting caught in cycle. The next sensation is a visceral hit to the gut that you recognize immediately: shame. You take deep, slow belly breaths and remind yourself that nothing bad is happening right now. If we catch ourselves in these moments, it takes just a few minutes to course correct. You don't need to be meditating or isolated in a quiet place to learn how to do this. You can take a pause anytime. This little trick has saved me more than once from giving the finger to a stranger while driving. Blocks to contentment. One of the blocks from learning how to live from a more grounded place is our deeply rooted sense of entitlement. It shows up on the playground in the screams of unfairness and continues to weave itself into the fabric of our behavioral patterns. And along with our sense of entitlement, we have ideas and expectations about what will make us feel happy, a large percentage of which is externally located. Well, if I only had a better job, the right partner, more friends, less stress, blah, blah, blah. Recognizing our if-only attitude is the first step in extinguishing our sense of entitlement. It's understandable to want discomfort to go away, but to do so is to choose an endorphin-fueled fantasy over reality. Breath and expand. The demands of entitlement are the ego's way of dealing with the fact that we are ultimately powerless in a cruel and beautiful world. Learning how to hold the tension of opposites with ease is our golden ticket to the path of contentment. And here's something I've been noticing. If something doesn't go as planned, say milk is spilled or I nick myself cutting vegetables, I hear sarcasm in my head. Well, that's great. Until these negative comments are brought to light, they continue their shenanigans outside of awareness. When you feel hijacked by a negative sensation, ask yourself, what's in the way of contentment? Is anything bad happening? Can I surrender to what is? Awareness allows us to see where we're stuck, while compassion allows us to accept what is. Together, the two help forge the way to greater and more lasting contentment. Cultivating Contentment by Kerry Ogden of kerryogden.com. Living a life that is inherently worthwhile comes from being present to it. True contentment is not based on favorable circumstances. It's about awareness. The less we fight what is, the more grateful we can be in the present moment. We unknowingly block happiness with our expectations, entitlement, and need for control. Recognizing and working with these obstacles clears the way to cultivate the roots of contentment. As it is in gardening, so it is with life. we plant seeds for what we want to grow. There are specific roots that can be directly cultivated. These roots include the capacity for being present, generosity of spirit, gratitude, loving kindness, and forgiveness. As these capacities are nourished, we become increasingly connected to our true nature, in which happiness is a natural byproduct. To experience genuine equanimity, we need to name what blocks it and work with it, and cultivate the seeds of contentment. 3 questions. Ezra Beta, a Zen meditation teacher, suggests that we ask ourselves 3 questions. The first is, am I truly happy right now? Now, let's assume the answer is no. Say you're running late and traffic is bad. The next question is, what is blocking happiness? This takes us into our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. It may be difficult to answer at first because the ego is invested in our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Stay with it, and eventually you may hear something like, traffic shouldn't be this bad, a thought. I'm going to get fired, a fear. Or maybe you notice tension in your body, behavior, and sensation. The final question to ask is, can I surrender to what is? And herein lies the reward. When we see that it is our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are the source of discontentment, we're in a position to drop the narrative. Practice, practice, practice. Perseverance is key to developing a fruitful spiritual life. We also want to be careful not to turn the pursuit of happiness into another craving. If we do, the ego will think it's something we are entitled to, which will defeat the purpose. A simple exercise to do each night is to reflect on your day. While lying in bed, recall the main events starting with the first memory of the morning. Try to do this at the same time each night before you're exhausted. The mind will lure you to think, analyze, or have some opinion on the events of the day. Don't get pulled in. Return to reflecting objectively on the events of the day. Once the review is complete, ask, what am I most grateful for? Over time, this practice will impact your daily life in powerful ways. Without effort or force, gratitude will grow in your waking life. Small wonders like access to clean water or paved streets will bubble up to consciousness. These are not trivial things, yet I take them for granted all the time. Remembering how fortunate I am to have them is a gift. You just listened to the posts titled, Happiness is an Inside Job, and Cultivating Contentment, both by Kerry Ogden of kerryogden.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary. Thank you to Kerry. Something that came to mind when she was talking about that example of forgetting your wallet when going to the airport in that first article. She mentioned how in this example there was time to head back home, so instead of panic, frustration kicked in. It's a small point, but one worth thinking about. What if the time crunch was a bit more, where there was barely enough time to get home to retrieve the wallet? We might be so preoccupied with getting home in time and making the flight that there wouldn't even be time to get frustrated. We're basically running on adrenaline, and I guess maybe fear at that point. The situation is the same, but the only difference is maybe, 15 minutes or something like that. Such a small difference, but a completely different reaction. Fear versus frustration. I thought that was really interesting and a great example of how that frustration really is a choice at the end of the day. It's a topic that comes up frequently here, but one I love because it's really everything when it comes to our happiness and state of mind. It's all a choice. So make those conscious choices today and this weekend. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow as usual, where your optimal life awaits.